Hey there, it's Justin with the meaning and significance of Easter, day 20 of 30. Hey, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me because I've got a mask on my face. You know why? Because I believe in objective truth that there are such things as viruses and you should take precaution against them. I'm wearing a mask, a surgical mask, and this is one way people who take precautions against these things. When it comes to certain things, though, people don't like to admit they believe in objective truth, but they'll always preserve their lives as if there is such a thing as truth. Well, in the case of coronavirus and COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, they'll take a precaution like wearing a mask, but they'll say, well, it's fine if you want to believe in Jesus and the resurrection, but that's not my truth. And you can't live that way. You can't live as if there's two versions of truth or there's alternate truths. There's one truth and there's false. If it doesn't match up with truth, it's false. You might as well just take off the mask if you don't believe in truth. The truth is you could get sick. You believe that. You know that. When you think about the resurrection of Christ and what Christianity means, Christianity is unlike other religions. It's not just a philosophy. It's not just a set of principles that people live by. It is objective, historical reality that was tested, observed, witnessed. You got to be a conspiracy nut to believe it didn't exist. It didn't happen. Jesus' resurrection and life is one of the most historically attested facts in history. I was reading with my kids this morning about just how many documents we have of the New Testament versus things we take for granted that existed, like Plato's writings. We only have maybe 200 documents of Plato's writings and that are known, and the earliest one we have is from 890 A.D. Plato was writing, 1,213 years earlier than that. Can you imagine? It's 2020 right now. Can you imagine if the earliest record someone had of my existence was from 3,300, 3,350? I'm losing oxygen here. I'm more in the stupid math. So 3,350 would be the date. And how much certainty you might have in my existence and what I said. Well, with Jesus in the Gospels, in his resurrection, our earliest record of it, not to mention the enormous amount of them, the enormous amount of testimonies to the New Testament, is that we have over 3,000 known manuscripts and fragments of the New Testament, which was copied and copied and copied and copied. And the earliest one is one known as P52, and it was written, about 100 to 125, it's dated. And the Gospel of John was probably written in the 80s, maybe even 90s. So we've got within a lifespan, generation, 20 years at the most of time. And so if it was wrong, people could have been like, "Hey, wait, that's not right." It was objective, it was experience, it was real and tangible. People saw it and it changed their lives and they wrote about it. You take so many things for granted. You take for granted that there is truth. You all know there are truth, even if you deny the resurrection of Jesus. Stop acting like there is no truth. Everyone knows there's truth and there's false. When it comes to the gospel of Jesus Christ and the resurrection, it's fact, it is truth, it must be accepted. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. You can't get around it. You have to either admit that it's truth and you don't want to believe him and follow him and put yourself at risk of judgment, or you can accept him as truth and the Lord, and the only Lord over death, the only Lord over sin, the only Lord who will triumph over his enemies at the end of time. And he could be your Savior. He is the truth. He's not just my truth or your truth. He's the truth. He's my Savior. Is he your Savior? Is he your King? He's my King. Is he yours? That is the question that Easter ought to force us to reflect upon each and every year, and each and every day of our lives. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this series, and comment. Tell us what you want to talk about as far as questions you have on the resurrection, its meaning and significance. And we'll catch you on day 21 next. See ya.